Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to do a quick little review. I purchased not too long ago a Ryobi 1 gallon air compressor from Home Depot up here in Canada. Believe it or not, they do. Ryobi does exist up in Canada, as well in the States, and in several other areas. And I wanted to talk about that because I had a recent experience where I had my 2 gallon air compressor that I have from another manufacturer, which has been really good for the last 15, 20 years. It's just that it's corded and it takes twice as long. And that one is a 2 gallon air compressor as well. Great little compressor, never had major problems with it. The only thing I can complain is that it's not running off of batteries. It's corded, so it takes a little while to get it up to full capacity because it has two 1 gallon tanks instead of the two, or instead of having one 2 gallon tank, it only has two 1 gallon tanks on it. And it takes a lot longer to fill both tanks up to full capacity. Whereas the Ryobi 1 gallon tank only takes about a minute and 20. So, yeah, I got it at a good deal at Home Depot. You'll see down in the link in the description the exact same one. Right now it's on regular price at 149 Canadian. It was actually on special for 129, give or take a couple of dollars, then you add taxes to it. And I did get a set of accessories like the cable, the quick connect, to attach to the hose and towards the receptacle on the compressor itself, so I can actually attach the hose to it. Plus the little odds and ends they usually give you to start out with. So at least I have that there to begin with. I'm not expecting it to do a lot of things because it's really a 1 gallon air compressor, or a 2 gallon air compressor is really meant to help you fill your tires. And I say this with conviction because that's all I really needed for. And not only that, it will do some pin nailing, like for trim, so that's okay. It's so long as you're not going to go hog wild on the trim, and you're expecting to do like 1,000 trim holes a day. Something like this will never happen because it's one, the tank is too small, and for something like that where you're dealing with quite a bit of trim, or like if you're doing roofing as an example, like a roofer, where you're just laying track by track of tar paper, or the actual what you call the roofing on the top of the building. A 1 gallon tank will not help you out. You're just going to burn something out. So I've actually gone through the the break-in process, which is about 30 minutes with a 4 amp hour battery. Either they say run it for 30 minutes or until the battery dies out, one of the two. I usually do it for when the battery dies, and that's it. So I know when the battery's out and done with, I can charge the battery up. And I'm one of those guys who's very picky of doing a rotation of all my batteries, whether they're 4 amp hour, 3 amp hour, 6, 9, whatever size that I have. So I go through the whole nine with them, the whole 9 yards with keeping them up and running and healthy properly. Don't ask me how I do it. I just know it because I've dealt with it in IT for other hand scanners and all that, and many people, they just don't want to understand it. It's just complicated, and it's something you have to do for a living. And being in IT, I've done it. So that being said, for the air compressor itself, bare minimum suggested battery is a 4 amp hour battery for use of this. Nothing lower than that. If you're going to try to use a 3 amp hour from Ryobi, which is the HP line, or a 2 amp hour, it's going to cut off right away because it's too much of a strain for that size of battery. 4 amp hour is enough. It'll give you about 9 tires to inflate as a bare minimum to start off with. That's on a full charge, and that's when the tank is basically empty and you get to charge it up for the first time. it's good for 9 tires. If you have a 6, 8, or 9 amp hour battery, of course you'll be able to inflate more tires because you have a larger runtime on those things. With an 8 amp hour, as an example, should get you 16 tires done. Okay, approximately. So you figure 4 amp hour does 9. Well, 8 amp hours should give you 16. 6, probably, I would say about 3/4 of that. So let's say maybe over 10 and under 16, give or take a couple of tires, just proximity of that. 9 will definitely give you around 20 tires above. And with the new 12 amp hour battery that Ryobi has, and I've seen the price and Canadian prices on that, close to $350 for one 12 amp hour battery Canadian. That's a big price for something like that, but it's worth it in a long time, especially when you have something that is really demanding. Air compressors is one because of it powering up to fill the air. Things like nail guns, things like drill. If you do a lot of drilling, if you do a lot of cutting, like with your circular saw, your sawzall, things like that, expect to use HP because it actually helps the motor out regarding that. So after I had gotten the two, and I'll show you both links, like I said in the description, of what I purchased. The accessories that I got, which gave the line itself, the quick connects, which includes the inverse, where the quick connect goes into the quick connect itself, comes with it, and some thread sealer, so that will help it seal on the screws, like the threads themselves. It'll save them any leaks. So you'll see that in the thread below. But overall, I've been very happy for the couple of times I've used it for filling tires, and as well as because I've used the stick vac from Ryobi, the PCL 720, and I just did some vacuuming upstairs. And I'm a stickler in cleaning that son of a gun out, especially the canister and filter. So I usually will bring that out to fill it up and to clean out the air filter that comes in there, which can be cleaned and washed, as well as just blowing through the canister to clean out any dust and where the venturi is. So when it sucks in the air, it goes through a venturi as well through the filter. So I've cleaned that out as well. I've used that to do it every single time. So after the initial cleaning, like I did upstairs and the main floor or the basement floor, I usually clean that out with that. It just makes it easier, and it's just it becomes a habit, because I read the manuals that come with it, and for basic cleaning, maintenance, stuff like that, things like that, which I find really good. And I've never hesitated to always speak with somebody else who is slightly more knowledgeable than I am regarding air compressors. And especially, I don't modify these things in any way. I leave them as stock air compressors. They've been good. I love them to death. I'm not throwing my old 2 gallon one out. I'm still keeping that around as for a backup. So I'll be using both in unison. So when one is filling up, I can use the other one to blow stuff, and vice versa. So it gives me a change of switching over to give the engines a run for their money. The air pump itself, the cylinders that use to fill the tanks up, to get it filled up, and to fill the tanks up. Now with these two that I have, since they're oilless, which usually gives an indication that most of the stuff in there is plastic or with plastic seals. It's not like the larger air compressors like a 10-gallon tank or larger, where everything is either made out of billet aluminum or cast iron made, where you require oil. So most of these stuffs, like on these ones here, are very fragile. So it's easy to burn those things out, especially the pumps and the motor, for any long periods of time. So being a guy who adheres to instructions very carefully and who reads the manual like it's a Bible almost, for those who are inexperienced with these things, read the manual, please. It's there for a reason. It's there to help you get knowledge about your equipment. There's no harm done. I even look through the manual and I speak with somebody who's more knowledgeable than I am in the field of mechanics or in the field of whatever it is, and they use this on a daily basis. They know their stuff on this. And I tell you right now, it's better to ask than not ask at all. Okay? And I'm giving that from my experience because I've learned this not the hard way, but I've gone through reading the manuals and working with them, and it makes life a lot easier. There's a reason why they say for maintenance do this, for maintenance do that, do this, whatever the case may be for the particular product. And so far, I love this. I love both of them. One I know I'm going to bring with me more often than the other one because the other one I can't bring with me because I can't hook it up to a battery. My larger one, my 2-gallon one. But I do wish that Ryobi will eventually make either a 2 or 4-gallon version of this with a proper pump. Not to go with the plastic ones because, again, they tend to break because it's plastic. And it's just, I find, for what we pay for, and I know they're not, these ones here, like the small air compressor, the 1 gallon, are meant to be used once every couple of months. That's all they're really used for, once every couple of months. The 6-gallon, 10-gallon, or higher are used on more likely daily basis because they have the oil in it. I have seen some tanked air compressors that are 10 gallons in size, which are oilless too, but again, they're not run as often as the ones that the mechanics use at the garage, where they may have several hundred gallons in the back and it's a large industrial compressor, not like what you would have at home. And what I also do as well, when I'm done with the air compressor itself, like the 1 gallon or my 2 gallon one that I have here, I tend to go underneath because there's a nipple underneath which lets you empty the tank, whether it's a 1 gallon tank like this one here from Ryobi or a 2 gallon one, and get rid of the air. Not only that, but also to get rid of the water, any condensation that may be in the air. Because usually when the air compressor starts compressing the air into the tanks, condensation will go into the tank and will start rusting on the inside out. So I've done this many times where I've worked with it, did what I needed to do with it. The next thing I do, as soon as I'm done with it, it's unplugged, the battery's out, I empty the tanks. Just for the fact is to clear the tanks out so there's no rust that will be forming inside the tank. And that is a lifesaver on these things. That makes it worth that much more use out of these tanks and the air compressor themselves. Okay, and plus it relieves any pressure in the tanks, because as soon as you want to power it up again, and it hasn't been emptied out, there may be a leak that will be forming up, or a seal might break, or something inside one of the components may break because of it. Okay, so that's the other thing I would check. Make sure that you empty it out first after being used. It's just out of good habit. It's good maintenance on it, and it takes 30 seconds. Just get it done. It's in, through, and out. Thank you very much. Bob's your uncle. Boom, out the door. You can store it away. Never have to worry afterwards. With that being said, this is a short little review. If I were to get another one, I probably would, but I would hope that they would have a larger size tank in it, and I hope that people like Ryobi will actually take a good listen to this. For some, it may be worth the while having a larger tank and a better motor and pump for that, because I find that sometimes you may need that longevity of a larger pump and also a larger tank, because you may need the extra power in there for whatever. I've seen people even try to use these things to do painting with on cars, and it's not really good. On maybe hobby stuff like modeling, it's not so bad because you're not using as much air, but still, use it for the small stuff, you know. And yeah, with that being said, guys, ladies and gents, I salute you. Happy hobbying. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.